little bit of patience. Are you gonna present the teams or what?
No, it doesn't want to.
I gotta know where to go. Nice, thank you so much for the translation there. No, it needs in. Thank you so much also for the work that you did with the tonal list. That was beautiful. Oh, you saw that? Yeah, I saw that.
We all saw it.
Yeah. Beautiful. I loved how you guys, I don't know if you guys work together on it or not, but how you guys put it together with the colors also. Yeah, that was Temachtilli. I had yeah, I can show you what I had when he first sent it to me. And he sent me a Word document, and I was like, this is gonna look better if we do this in Excel. And so this is what it looked like in the beginning. You have everything in black and white, and it was red for the Nahuatl letters because that's the way he originally had it. And then we ended up transitioning to the other one, which is the one that has color. Is there any way that you can send the one with the colors if you have it, or if not, I copy and I can go ahead and send it from the group to the team. I'm not sure what he wanted to do with that one, so that's why I haven't shared it. That's why I haven't, because I don't know what Temachtilli wanted to do with that. I see. Because even this one that you just showed me, that looks really cool, and the translation is beautiful. To where is something that our team can actually, you know, hopefully enjoy going through it or use as a reference. Trying to find the one that I can present in Teams. I don't know why it's not letting me do it this time. Here. I'll just copy the link, paste it in the chat, and then I'll open it in the chat and see if that works. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, I think the only way is just gonna be to share.
I'm gonna lose functionality of a lot of the. No, don't worry about it. We can deal with that later if you like. Here we go.
All right, well, welcome, everyone. You are our special guest tonight. Andy cannot make it. She says she'll watch the recording later. So welcome. You get a personal experience. So we're gonna cover Cali today.
So this is part.
I mean, not Cali. Kuetzpallin.
This is part 4, and we are going to get into the teachings of Kuetzpallin.
No, in it, we got the slide in Spanish.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
great. So Kuetzpallin, we've already discussed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Three previous classes already. We work with Sipakli, Yeyekat, Kali. So we learned quite a few different things already as far as those exercises and what those tonalistaras. And the one that we have to work with today, the fourth one is Kuetzpallin, the lizard. Kuetzpallin is extremely interesting in multiple different ways because it teaches us a lot of different things via observation. The animal itself is adaptable, and when observing it, you learn lots from its behavior, what it does, how it moves, how it lives its life. So there's a lot of knowledge behind this beautiful animal that we're going to be getting into. You want to go ahead and read take us up with the now what portion of the reading here when it's in Nemo?
Most definitely. So the phrase goes, Xipatlani huejcapa amo mamitztelticat moyol tlamachiliswan tonaltlamatiliswan wan amo yakan noso tlaste namitztelti. And the translation goes, and I try to keep it as close as what they try to do, right? But it says, fly high, let your feelings and thoughts not hold you back, and let no one or nothing stop you or hold you back. And then you see at the bottom, Xipatlani huecapa shiatsi pan mishkoatl. That means fly high until you reach the universe. So essentially, what they're pretty much telling you, it's kind of straightforward, right? Is do not let others influence your ability to like make the exercises, complete the exercises, do the exercises, right? Because well, one thing that's important is that you are trying to establish that connection or that balance between the other you, yourself, and the sacred energies, right? Who else is involved in that other than those three? No one. And so it is important for us to essentially not give a damn about what other people think. You know, when I take my walks during lunch break, I, listen to some music, but when it's time for me to, cool down, I pause my music, I hang up the phone with Deckbot, and then I do my exercises. I don't care who's at the park. I don't care who's watching me or who's observing me, watching me put saliva to protect myself, in parts of my body. I don't care who's watching me talking to myself or chasing my own shadows. I really don't, because they don't understand what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to achieve. And to me, it's something very important that I'm trying to accomplish and achieve. So it's not, they don't have any influence into what I'm doing. And, if we want to think about it in the Eurocentric manner, they don't pay my bills. They're not paying me money. They're not giving me anything for them to have an influence over me. And so I am not going to care what they think about me. They're already at the park doing their own thing. And, let them judge me. At the end of the day, who is it really going to affect? Is it going to be me? No, not at all. It's going to be a burden for them to carry, because it'll be a kind of like a lesson for them to learn when they are trying to, you know, do good things or trying to achieve certain goals, whether it's through the religious aspect or if they do find something spiritual, they're gonna understand like, holy crap, I was making fun of that one person and they were actually trying to harmonize or connect with themselves. So essentially that's what it translates to me. But
So it not only speaks to, not letting others, direct what path you take or what limits you place, but it also speaks on yourself, right? Not limiting ourselves, not just isolating ourselves into a little box, right? With four corners that we're bound to and, don't supersede. This quote is, or this prayer is pretty much reminding us that there are no limits, right? The only limits that are there are the ones that we placed. And it just kind of reminds us that that's not the life that we should live, right? Full of limitations and um, not believing in ourselves, right? We can actually accomplish many things. It's just the power of the mind, the power of the mindset that goes along with it. And so Kuetzpallin is one of those energies that just gives us those reminders that we need of we are very powerful, right? We are very intelligent. We are very capable. But we must act on those things, right? We mustn't limit ourselves and we should just move forward and not fear, the unknown in some circumstances. So that's what that quote really means for me is just we must stop being our worst enemy, right? When it comes to already selling ourselves short or telling ourselves that we cannot do something because that is essentially placing those limitations, right? That we can't supersede something. But if we change the narrative, if we change those notions, then we can actually overcome a lot, right? We can actually accomplish many things that we at some point didn't think we were capable of. So it just reminds us to fly high, right? Reach for the stars is another way to look at it. Nagnitin Atlani?
Plaza Kamati, Miek, Noinitzin. Yeah, I think that you both are on point on this. Fly high, let your feelings and thoughts not hold you back, and let no one or nothing stop you. I think it's this method. This is a metaphor that is extremely philosophical, right? Don't let your feelings and thoughts hold you back. Your own thoughts. This is going back to the fact that we are warriors that are in a battle, and the enemy is ourselves, right? A lot of times we're gonna have these thoughts where we are essentially putting limits in ourselves, right? Oh, I cannot be doing this because of this. Or I will do this later. I will always have time to do it later. Uh, Somebody else will take care of it. Different things that affect our own growth in multiple different ways, right? Or limit us from having a better life or having better situations in life, right? That we don't think that we're good enough for a particular, I don't know, position at work or a particular profession or anything that you may want to think of when it comes to that personal growth, right? Um, our own feelings, your feelings of sadness, your feelings of guilt. A lot of times we have guilt of what we're doing, maybe perceived or might be something bad or might be, a sin, if we want to call it that, based on a lot of different things that have been taught to us as little kids or as we've grown up in the society, how society has influenced us in a way, build barriers around us to where, you got to be part of this herd in a way to fit in, and that's not the case. We don't have to. We don't have to have the same path as the herd, right? We can make our own path, and rather than walking it, we can fly it, right? So it talks to me about that a lot, about how um, sometimes we put our better future on the line by using our thoughts and our feelings against ourselves, which is, I think, something that we have to be extremely observant about. We always have to be aware of that, of our own thoughts, because they can either make us, really happy, or they can influence a bad state of mind, right? Uh, Let no one or nothing stop you, right? That goes back to what I was trying to say with society or other people telling you how you should behave or what you should do or who you should be, right? This is going to be based on their own perception, and everybody has their own perception. And your own perception is that of no limits. There's no reason why you should have any type of limits. They were created for you or for us, right? These limits don't exist. They exist for the people that want to have those limits, but they don't really have any type of positive influence in our lives, because they basically keep us rather than allow for us to grow, right? To be able to reach the universe, fly high until you reach the universe. This is a profound uh, quote, and it really talks into becoming one with the universe, being able to connect with everything in a way where you can basically reach everything that you can in multiple these different aspects, your spiritual aspect, your personal aspect, and everything else. So yeah, that's what I would say about this particular quote. Tlazohcamati.
So this next slide gives us a good example of the next exercise that we're going to focus on. But before we talk about the exercise, it says here, carry a rock or an object, right? In order for us to fly spiritually, emotionally, physically, to harmonize with Xochiquetzalli, the beauty of nature, right, we must first understand what it is to be living as a human being in the physical plane of existence, right? And one of the key important lessons that you will always learn, especially when you're doing these exercises, is to protect your temple, right? You got to protect the temple. You got to protect your energy, your emotions, your thoughts, and to select the essence of these energetic flowers, right? Because that's essentially what they all are. They are flowers for you to breathe in, smell, perceive, right? It's for you to be able to sit down and just feel relaxed, because what is the first thing that we do when we get flowers as a gift? You smell them, right? And when they smell good, what is it that you just want to keep doing? You just want to keep your face buried in those flowers and smell them until they no longer have that scent. And so what essentially what we're trying to achieve here is to put into practice the first three exercises, right? First, sit in silence, observe, and learn. Then from that, you will go to uh, befriending your harmonizing with the self, befriending the other you, uh, essentially reaching a balance to a point where then you'll start cleaning out house, right? Kali. And so you'll start protecting your house, you'll start cleaning your house. So essentially, this is the work that is leading to this point where now you need to understand some of the things that you're carrying that you truly don't know or understand how they truly affect you. And so before we get into the exercise, I wanted to open up the floor to Tekpat or Brother Atlani to expand further on this slide. Tekpat?
Sorry, I didn't know who wanted to go. So you want me to dive into what it is or not yet?
It's up to you.
All right, so with this exercise, it's one of those that you literally get the meaning because you're acting on the exercise and practicing it. So how you start is you go and collect several rocks or objects.
Perfectly.
Yeah, rocks preferably from, the ground, from
Small,
outside.
medium, nothing too heavy.
Around nonstop on your body for a period of time, about 7 days at least. And so just be mindful when you're picking the sizes of rocks. And so you go and you collect some rocks from your surroundings, whether that be your backyard or, outside somewhere. You get as many as you would like, right? And so what you're going to put on these rocks is an intention, right? The intention is what burdens are you carrying, right? Either physically, emotionally, mentally, right? But those rocks are going to be your reminder every single day that they're on your body of the weight that you're carrying, right? The burdens, the stress, just things that are taking a toll on your body. And so you don't remove these rocks from your, body. You put them in your pockets or you put them somewhere, right? But they should remain with you at all times, with the exception of when you bathe or shower, right? But aside from that, they're with you, right, nonstop for about 7 days. And then after that period of time, before returning them back to Mother Earth, right, back to the ground and burying them back into the dirt, for each rock, you're going to give it an intention, right, of something that you would like to officially let go of, right? Something that you are holding on to, something burdening you, right? But something is going to be placed on each of these rocks. And the purpose of doing that is to let go, to just leave it all behind and return it back to Mother Earth so that she can recycle that energy into something, beneficial and positive, right? Something fruitful. And it's also so that you can have a tangible severance or severance of that connection that you don't want to hold that burden on for any longer. So that's kind of the exercise. Brother Atlani, if you'd like to add anything else that I might have missed.
No, it's in TechPad. So this one to me is quite it's really cool. It's a really cool exercise. I recall I've done this exercise twice, and the first time that I did it, it was amazing. It taught me a lot. There's a lot of teachings in the process. But what is the purpose of the previous 3 exercises that basically take us into these or the previous 3 classes that are taking us into this class, right? Is that growth. We're now seeing that we have to basically we worked on Kali last week, and now we're essentially having to continue to work now with Kuetzpallin, right? Kuetzpallin, the little animal basically will shed its tail. It will shed parts of its body and regrow them, whether it's a will on purpose or when it's being attacked, right? And that is a really deep teaching when looking at the little, being. It's basically teaching us how we can get rid of things that we don't have to carry anymore, things that are affecting us. Because if a Kuetzpallin, uh, if its tail gets too heavy, it will basically lose it on purpose. It will basically detach its tail and grow a new one because the previous one was too heavy. Or if another animal is attacking it, whatever limb it grabs onto, it will the Quetzalcoatl will basically let go of that particular limb and continue to keep its life. It teaches us that we have to let go of things that we don't need. Uh, we basically have to do that in order to be able to harmonize, find our balance, find that spiritual balance, and be able to connect to the beauty of nature, such Quetzalli, right? That balance that allows for us to truly enjoy life and truly have that connection with nature. um, it allows basically for us to be able to get rid of things that we're holding on to emotionally, things that are basically taking energy away from us via trauma, things that might have happened to us in our past, right? That we're still carrying with us. Uh, that's basically what Quetzalcoatl is teaching us. Is teaching us that we don't have to carry that stuff with us anymore, right? We can get rid of it. Um, that's basically how I understand the message, right? Uh, and the way to do that is with this exercise is essentially the way the Noenitz in TechPath explained it, right? You want to find a rock, right? It doesn't have to be too big nor too small, but a rock that you can basically hold in your hand, right? And the exercise is that simple. Just carry it with you for 7 days. But when you do, put into this rack all of the emotions, all of these traumas, all of these feelings, all of this negativity that you have been carrying. Now, when it comes to the rock, it's important that you make this rock as close as you can to your body, to being part of you, okay? Treat it as if it was one of your fingers, right? Carry it with you anywhere you can go. Uh, I was actually taking showers myself with it the first time that I did the exercise. So it became part of me. I kind of grew a little bit attached to it towards the end of the exercise. Um, and yes, the philosophy behind it is that you're basically putting all of these negative things that you have been carrying with you, right, into this rock. Continue to carry them in the rock for 7 days, right? And then when you let go of them, right, whether you offer them to Mother Earth or you offer them to water or to a mountain or anything that you decide to do with it, right, uh, realize that you don't have to carry any of the stuff that you have been carrying with you as well, just like you don't have to carry that rock. So that is the exercise how I perceive it. um, so yeah, that's what I would say about this particular um, exercise. Class of Kamatimeka. I need to Nemo.
And so I'm gonna share a personal story about this. Um, Before I even knew that this was an exercise that we needed to do in order to grow closer with the sacred energies, I actually had completed something similar like this with some friends that were we became pretty close in college, and so they had some burdens that they were holding on to, and I ended up driving them to one of the mountains that's over here in El Paso. We hiked as far up as we could, and the higher we went, the less oxygen, the thinner the oxygen gets. So uh, obviously, I was out of shape, so we had reached the point to where we no longer could. But there was a big boulder that stuck out and kind of gave you like a platform to look down onto the trail, to look down onto the rest of the mountain. And so I had them get up there, and I was like, you know, through all the trials and tribulations you've walked on, the trail that we took to get here was pretty challenging, and we've met some challenges, either through slipping, through almost falling, and it wasn't a pretty path. But now that we are here, you're standing on top of this boulder and you get to see the beauty of what's in front of you. And so now is the time for you to finally let go of those things that you're holding in, because those things are preventing you from accomplishing what you want to do in life. And so I had them yell out. You don't necessarily have to yell out, but it helps in most cases. I had them yell out, this is where I leave X reason that's holding me back. And we did it. I gave them an example. I started it, and then after that, my friends did it, and we had like a pretty cool moment of just bonding. And so it felt like relieving, like a huge weight off of our shoulders was taken off, and the route back to the vehicle was a lot lighter. We could actually breathe better. We were actually laughing and joking. So it was an experience, to say the least. And so here we have a plegaria prayer, if you want to call it that. So this is one that you will use, but you want to use one of the regents that you are associated with. So for this example, they are using Yayakat, wind, but once we get to a point where we can read tonalis and do the ceremony for those tonals, we'll be able to understand like which energies we are working with, right? And so for this case, it's Yayakat, Tlasukamati no Goltsin Yayakat, Tlen Nochi Tinechmaka, one, Tlen Amo Tinechmaka, Tlen Negua no Techpowi. Thank you, Yayakat, for all that you give and all that you don't give, all in due time. Nimoknetateka motech sinechmatka motlamatilis moyoltonal moishewal tlen ika no mi nimo palewis pan no nen milis. I earnestly ask you, or I earnestly ask for your wisdom, your energy, your example, which will help me on the path of my existence. Nimotemaka ni nemis ken Huitzilin, ken tonatiu, ken Xochitl noiki, nochipa nikilnamikis, mopalewilis, ashkan wanikan. I commit to living like the hummingbird, like the generator of light and warmth, like the flower. I will not forget your help here and now, or living in the here and now. And so this is a plegaria you want to use to, well, be grateful, right? It's thanking that sacred energy that you're working with for that moment, so that you can extract their teachings, so you can extract the help that is needed for you to achieve the goal of your existence, whether you're trying to become a better person emotionally, whether you're trying to be helpful for others, whatever goal you have set for yourself. This is essentially one of the first steps that we must take in order to get to that point. And the focus is asking for that help, asking for that guidance. And so the sacred energies are always there to help us, are always there to guide us, correct us when needed. And so this is one of those prayers that you can use to help you achieve that. And so essentially it's just being grateful, right? And then making sure that when you make the commitment for change, that you actually commit to it and not haphazardly involve yourself in a situation where the lesson is the repercussions for that lesson is going to be equal to that of the level of commitment that you decided to get into. So Just like with some of the first exercises, like spinning in the air and having that come back to you. Well, if you commit haphazardly or halfway to accomplishing, some of these lifestyle changes, then the drawbacks of that you're going to receive are going to be equal in value and weight. Think much?
We said we were just going to read the slide.
Okay. Atlani, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, a couple of things really quick, if you guys don't mind. So I want to point out we see the duality in this particular slide. No cold sin and no sin, right? So grandpa kejekat otlet, grandma tlali or ad, right? Wind and fire, earth and water. So on the prayer, we'll notice on the first paragraph how it says no cold sin yeyekat. That's grandpa fire, right? For this specific prayer. We can go ahead and swap that out for no cold sin tled, or no sitsin tlali, no sitsin adel, right? To be able to change the prayer depending on who we are trying to pray to or connect with, right? Which one of the four elements? I think that's one thing that we want to be aware of when it comes to this prayer. And another thing was that I wanted to mention regarding this particular prayer is how we should also notice that we're praying for the things that have been given to us, the things that we're asking for to be given to us, and the things that have not yet been given to us, nor will be given to us, because it's not the right time to get these particular things, right? I think that on that, we have to also be aware that things come at the right time. Sometimes we're not ready or prepared for things to come to us, and things will come at the right time. A lot of this, one of the things that the Temachtilistli mentioned in this particular class was how one of the Noiniwan mentioned to him that if he had access to this knowledge when he was younger, he would be way smarter, right? But at the same time, the route that he had to take, the path that he had to take to get to the teachings took him through a lot of different cultures and a lot of different teachings to be able to get to this knowledge and realize and appreciate the knowledge for what it is, right? Because behind them, he had all of this different knowledge already that he had accumulated to the point that he was able to appreciate this when this showed up. And if he would have shown up previously, possibly he wouldn't have appreciated. So things do come at the right time. And one has to be aware of that when it comes to the prayers. Tlaso kamatimiek.
All right, so this phrase says, free ourselves, get rid of, eliminate the garbage that does not let us fly like owls. So the teachings behind Kuetzpallin, right, are to let go of that which holds us back or limits our ability to, fly high, to soar, right? And that comes with what we choose to hold on to, right? So many times, a lot of us like to hold on to things that do us harm or cause us stress or just are not good or healthy, right? To hold on to, but it becomes a habit or it becomes comforting to to keep holding on to it, right? But with this tonal, right, this energy, it's reminding us that everything kind of works together, right? You must let go. You must surround yourself with flowery essences, right? So that your kali, right, your foundation, your house can be strong and healthy and thriving, right? And in order to do that, we must learn the lessons behind letting go. And we're not talking about just saying the words, yes, I'm going to let go, but actually acting upon it, right? Once you release those rocks that we talked about earlier, once you release them in whatever way you choose, right? Whether back to the water, earth, or the mountains, you have to cut those ties. You have to sever those bad connections that are not healthy anymore. It doesn't mean to continue reminiscing or to bring back, right? It's you're officially letting go. And so with Kuetzpallin, I think it's really an important reminder that we are very strong. We can persevere through a lot, right? Just like that little animal can overcome big challenges like losing a limb or a part of its body in order to survive or, continue living. It's a small sacrifice that shows that they can move forward, right? They can continue on. And it's just teaching us the same lesson for ourselves, right? That we are very strong and we can persevere through a lot of challenges. We just have to kind of believe in it. We have to practice and act on it, and we need to make those changes, right? That are good for us. So that's what this quote means for me. No, mixing that, Lani, if you have anything else to add.
I don't think that I can add much more than what you said. No, it's in tech, but I think that you hit it right on point with what you said. It's essentially that free ourselves from all the garbage that we're carrying with us, so that we can fly as high as we can, like an owl. Considering that in the every single culture that we know considers owls these birds of wisdom, right? We got to be able to be aware of the fact that we are owls, right? People of wisdom. And as people of wisdom, there's no reason why we need to carry garbage around with us. No needs in Nemo?
Asukamati. And why an owl, right? Why an owl? Well, as Brother Tanya stated, there's many cultures that see this animal as an animal of wisdom, but it's also the only bird that is the quietest when in flight. When you do measurements, there's been scientific evidence recorded and documented about the flight of an owl. You don't hear the flapping of the wings like you would with pigeons, eagles, hummingbird, right? On the contrary, it's so quiet that you don't necessarily hear an owl flying by, right? But in order for us to get to that point where we can just soar freely without causing all that ruckus, we need to be able to learn how to, spread our wings and just let our bodies flow through the air as the owl does, right? I'm not saying go jump off a cliff, right? But I am saying to learn to take risks, learn to jump on opportunities when they arise. I mean, you can't really spread your metaphorical wings if you're keeping yourself in the cocoon without actually breaking out of it and, testing your wings to see how far you can fly. And the most important aspect for all of this is to make sure that before you decide to take that first leap and start flying, you make sure that you've let go of all of that stuff that you need to, because obviously there comes a point in a bird's life where they can no longer fly because they have too many feathers, so they need to start plucking them out, right? There comes a point in a bird's life where they're no longer able to eat until they break their beak and regrow it again, right? So those are the lessons that they were discussing earlier at TechPath, right? Learn to let, if you have to tear off a limb, not, you know, literally, but metaphorically, learn to tear off a limb and just keep moving forward. There's going to be situations and moments in life that are going to be very high emotional that you just don't want to let go, but you have to, like traumatic events. And so that's one of the things I wanted to add.
Wait, you skipped one. Oh, wait, never mind.
It's because this thing
bounces. Yeah, you're good. I did real quick, I did want to add from the last slide also, the reason that we stress, right, letting go of the garbage, the toxicity, right, is another important thing to note is once you internalize those things, right, once you make it a part of you, you're essentially poisoning your mind, your body, and your soul with trash, right, with those negative energies and emotions that do take a toll, as many of us have, noticed, right? The body starts to deteriorate, the health starts to deteriorate. You start becoming ill, right? That manifests into diseases or health issues, right? So that's another thing to note, right? With the teachings behind Kuetzpallin is all that letting go is what's going to benefit and help you thrive, right, in multiple facets of your life. It's going to keep you strong and healthy. But just wanted to add that little bit of, you don't want to poison yourself, right, with the trash. You want to cleanse the body, right? You want to make it light and, lightweight so that you can fly. And so that's just one other thing that came to mind.
Brother Tlani, did you want to talk about the exercises with the 4 grandfathers?
Thank you, Gamati. I will. So these exercises are really cool. These are exercises to be able to connect, to cleanse, to get rid of different feelings, emotions. They help a lot, and I do them all the time, and I love them. So what are they? These are basically things that we can do with the 4 elements, right? The first one, the offering through a letter to Grandfather Fire. I think I'm not sure if we have already discussed this one, but in the past, but it's quite simple. Essentially, we can go ahead and write everything, all of those emotions, all of those traumas, all of those memories that we have, all of those things that we would like to change about us, those things that we know that, where we can be better, and essentially write them down, right? Any bad thoughts that we have, let's write them down on a piece of paper. And let's go ahead and offer them to Grandfather Fire, right? To Abuelito Huehueteot. In doing that, we're essentially are doing a cleansing of ourselves, right? We are our own teachers and our own healers in multiple different ways. And these are exercises to be able to do that. So that's the one for Abuelito Fuego, Grandfather Fire. Noinitzin Tekpat, would you like to talk to us about the next one?
Mati. Yeah, so the next one is you're connecting with water, with at. And so with this one, you are going to bathe yourself, right, with sea salt water. And you're going to, similar to the previous one, right? But instead of writing, you can either vocalize, right, what you're trying to let go, or as the water is washing away, right, is beating off your body, and you're cleansing, you can release that energy, those thoughts, those emotions that you want to let go of, right? And so that's another way to connect to one of our grandfathers, right? Which is water. Nemo, would you like to do the third one?
Yes, this is one of my favorite ones. So releasing energies through breathing, right? Exhaling and inhaling. And while you're doing this, you want to visualize, use the visualization. When you inhale, you want to visualize the colors blue or green. And as you exhale, you want to visualize the color black, right? Because we know that blue or green represents fertilization, growth. Green meaning like the plants or the reeds or a lot of the non, what are they called? The ones that can't make faces. Inanimate. A lot of the inanimate objects that we consider living, right, are color green, and they bud flowers that are different colors. But what does the base of the stem look like? It's green. Or water, right? Water is blue. We see it when we go out to the oceans, or we see it in some of the rivers. We can see that flowiness, and so that's what you want to visualize when you're breathing in, those deep breaths, and then as you're breathing out, you want to release those energies, right? And um, we use the visualization of the color black for that. Not saying that the color black is bad in general, because that's a concept that we kind of need to deconstruct as well. It's just those negative aspects that are not beneficial to the growth, to the flow of that water or of that environment. And so you don't necessarily have to uh, keep this as the exercise, because eventually you'll make it yours. Brother Tlani gave us a perfect example of, as you're exhaling in, you turn your head left until your chin meets your shoulder. And then as you exhale, you want to return it back to center. And that's the visualization of you coming back to balance, you coming back to center yourself, ground yourself. And so it works best with bare feet on soil, on ground, and you'll just have a connection like no other. And so you're essentially connecting with our grandfather, Yayakat. Brother Tlani?
The next one, bearing memories. So for this one, we're working with Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth cleanses everything. It's energy, it's pure energy. It's life. It's beautiful. So one of the things that it can do is basically cleanse away all of that energy that we accumulated over time, that is negative energy, right? And the way that we can do that, or one of the ways that we can do that, is essentially by burying those memories, right? So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and write down on a piece of paper, right? The things that we no longer need, the things that are basically holding us back. And there's many things that hold us back. So we want to go ahead and make a list as big as we can. Write down every single thing that we can there that is actually having some sort of effect on holding us back, right? Anything negative. And what we want to do is essentially just bury it. Find a place where we can go ahead and just, dig a hole and bury these memories, and basically ask for Mother Earth to take him and basically do what it does best, which is cleanse him, right? You don't need him anymore. We don't need him anymore. There's no need for us to carry him anymore. So why not give him as an offering to Mother Earth? Even, if he's bad energy, we can always ask for Mother Earth to help us cleanse. So yeah, that's the other exercise that we can do to work with that would complete the 4 elements as far as the exercises that we can do with them. No needs in demo. Do you want to take us on this one?
Of course, Tlazokamati. Xipatlani, Yaot. What does this mean? Well, as we saw in the previous slide, Xipatlani means fly, right? And what you want to do is in this Yaot, you want to substitute this with your name. So if your name is Anthony, you say Xipatlani Anthony to yourself when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. And you want to say this at least 13 times because you are essentially manifesting that idea to spread your wings, to not have any fears and just take that leap and start flying, right? The key thing for the flight is that it cannot start until that initial leap is made and those wings are spread out. Because without those wings being spread out for the glide to happen and then the flapping for flight to eventually unfold, you're essentially just jumping off of things, right? And so there's a clear difference between jumping off something and taking flight. When you know this, right? An example will be when you're taking a class and you decide, I want to try out something in the class, but you don't fully study, you don't do much of the work that's required for you to fully understand that material. You're literally just jumping off of something, right? Versus trying to completely understand the topic and through study, through reading, through lectures, through discourse with the teacher, and then having a study session with friends or with colleagues, when you are able to take that outside of that study environment and apply it to, let's say, real work or real life, that is what is flight, right? That is being able to take something and then applying it somewhere else. And that is essentially you taking that leap, gliding, and then you're now flapping those wings and you're just taking off, right? And so that is an example that I can give to kind of visualize what we mean by taking flight and actually flying. And obviously we're using Huehuetecolotl, our ancient owl, as a representation of that. Why? Because again, this animal is very wise and has a lot of knowledge. It has the capability of rotating its head 270 degrees, which is more than a lot of what the animals are capable of doing, right? So it's on constant observance of the environment in a manner that is unnatural to other animals. And that's kind of the way we need to be as well, like being able to be unnatural to other animals, meaning human beings. Tepat?
What can I add? I guess the only other thing that comes to mind is just the reason you do this exercise or this this chant or this encouraging motivation 13 times, right, is you're taking back your power, right? You're taking back that power that lies within all of us. It's just at some point maybe we lost some belief in ourselves, or we listen to the fear or the consequences, or just we listen to everything except ourselves, right? And so when you're reminding yourself to fly, right, to soar high, you're empowering yourself again, right, to be able to acknowledge what you're capable of, and that at some point you became that obstacle, right? You became that hindrance by either placing those boundaries or limitations on yourself at some point due to not wanting to go outside the norm or be too obvious, right? But I think it's our moment, our reminder to return to the belief in yourself, right? The harmony that lies within yourself, because once you get to know yourself, right, once you understand more of who you are and why you do the things you do and what energies you really connect with, then that's when you really do fly right up into the stars, up into the universe, and you become part of that connection again. So that's all I wanted to add. Brother Atlani.
I agree with, I mean, not much more to add to what you guys said. I think you guys were both on point. The only thing that I would add to this is the way that I do it in front of the mirror after my exercise. And I'm basically talking to my higher self, right? When I'm saying this, Shiplatlani. This is essentially breaking those barriers that are allowing for me to fly, that are allowing for me to get out of the constraints they have been creating for me by other people. This is me telling myself that I can be anything I want, that I can fly as high as I can or I want without any, you know, problems. So yeah, that's what I would say about this. I think that doing this in the mirror, looking at yourself in the eyes, and saying this to yourself, to your higher self, uh, works wonders in empowering yourself. Class of Kamati.
All right. Well,
This reminds me of you, brother Atlani. Without the sheep, you have Atlani.
I'm sorry, what portion?
The sheep
Atlani?
Atlani. Yes, without the sheep, the XIP at the front, you have Atlani.
Oh yeah, I barely noticed that. Funny.
but yeah,
Yeah.
Now's the time. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the last slide. We can now open up the space for any questions or just any discussion about any of the material. Yeah, feel free.
How often do you guys do these? Do you guys try to do them like every day or yeah? I guess that's my question.
So for me, the ones I do more often, and it's because obviously it's a little bit more doable, right, with like the schedule that I currently have. I do like the breathing exercises a lot, right? The inhale, the exhale, especially when my emotions are heightened. I find myself going outside, right, and trying to release that energy out because I don't like to keep it inside the house, right? Because if I release it into the house, well, I now risk that energy going and infecting somebody else, right? So I don't want any of that. So I do go outside and I kind of release that. And a lot of the time I find Yeyekat, right, our father wind finds me, right? He'll connect. He feels my disturbances, right? So I do that one a lot just because, like I said, I find, I I connect to the wind a lot. And then I've done like the burying, right, of the rocks, or burying of intentions that I want to let go. I do that one a little more often. I do want to try the one where you burn, right, with when you connect with Xiuhtecutli with the fire. I haven't tried that one. But I always get mesmerized with fire, so I would like to try to do that one a little more often. But yeah, just in my personal opinion, I do some exercises more often than others, but I do try to at least attempt them as much as I can.
I started incorporating this after we were taught this lesson on my walks during lunchtime. And then every single time I wake up and I do my morning routine, I end up always looking myself in the mirror and you know, saying some encouraging phrases. So now I use the Shipatlani. And so just whenever you feel you need it, you can do it. Like there's no minimum, well, there is a minimum, at least once a day, right? You want to try this at least once a day, either looking at yourself in the mirror or as you're walking or as maybe when you're exercising, maybe when you're taking time to take a break from studying. You got to remind yourself you have the capability of flight, so fly.
So there's a lot of exercises. I mean, we're barely on class 4, and there's 20 classes. And then on top of those 20 classes, which each one of them has exercises, um, there's other exercises on top of these classes, right? So I try to knock out as many exercises as I can a day. When I'm taking a shower, I'm working with water, right? When I'm outside playing with my dog, I'm also doing sun gazing in the morning, or connecting with nature, right? Not meditating. For meditation, for the breathing exercises, which I also try to do 4 or 5 times a week. I need quiet. So that's the reason why I take my dog on walks, so that he can get tired and allow for me to meditate. But I do try to do that a few times a week. As far as these exercises goes, they become part of your lifestyle. So eventually they become normal routines, but you do want to be basically bring them into your everyday way of life, into your lifestyle, as much as you can, and eventually it becomes normal. You wake up and you go see the sun, and you say your prayer, or you say thanks, or you energize yourself. The sun gives us energy. I mean, this idea of you know, don't get near the sun because it's gonna kill you. It may have a little bit of truth to it, with some diseases, but the truth also is that we need the sun, so that we can be, filled with energy. So I try to do these exercises as much as I can every day, not just the ones that we've discussed, but some more that we will be discussing.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I have another question about the one where you carry a rock. So I have the tendency to sometimes like forget things. So would you suggest like trying to maybe like a couple times a day, like being intentional about thinking about the exercise as a whole, and like be putting into the rock like all the negative thoughts and feelings and stuff throughout the day? That makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, you can do it however it comes out naturally to you. I did it from the beginning. From the beginning, I basically made a list of everything, that I wanted to kind of put as far as an intention on the rock. As far
Is it us?
I don't know.
Can you hear us, brother? Or water grow?
I think he's frozen for me.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
All right, we'll be a little patient. But yeah, in the meantime, if it helps, like he was suggesting, right? Because it can be a lot, right, to remember, like, oh, what did I originally place onto this rock, right? I think what would help you out in the beginning, because it does take practice, it gets you have to do it more often, right? So that it becomes like a lifestyle change, right? But in the beginning, I would just suggest, like he said, right, have a piece of paper or on your phone, make a list, whatever you use, right? But make a list So you write down everything you want to let go, right? Or everything that makes you angry or frustrated, or just any type of emotional thought, negative emotional thought or negative emotion. You can start like that, right? And then when it comes time to replacing or to placing back the rock and returning it, right? You can take your list out and you can kind of go through it and say, you know, this is what I want to let go. And from that point on, you let that go, right? You don't reminisce, you don't bring that stuff back. It's a permanent, like, you sever it. You truly do make the point of like, this is where it ends, right? This is where we stop.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that does. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that list, for me, I was told to carry at least a minimum of 5 rocks, maximum of like 13, right? And so the reason for that is because you want to carry enough for you to notice that there's something there, right? You can't forget it. You can't forget to, change pants and not put those rocks in your pocket. You can't forget to go take a shower and then put those rocks in the new pants or in the new shorts or wherever it is that you're carrying, right? And the reason for that is because it's physically showing you those things that you're carrying. And when you're sleeping, right, there's moments where we don't go to sleep. Why? Because there's so much going on in our head that it doesn't allow us to sleep. Well, when you lay down in a certain way, those rocks are going to remind you that they are still there, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And you might even get woken up in certain moments during the night while you're sleeping, right? Because that's exactly what those burdens do, right? And when you get to the point where you're like, okay, I have my list of emotions that I'm ready to let go, you want to make a decision for the things that you are capable of letting go, and the ones that you have been having a challenge for, you kind of want to take steps to remind yourself, hey, I let this go. I can't be thinking about this, or I can't be doing this thing all over again. And so um, just giving yourself the freedom, right, to make that lifestyle change and then incorporate it, because it's very challenging. We've been conditioned to uh, hold on to things that are not healthy for us, and it's just a thing that you slowly start to decolonize also in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Brother Atlani, if you can hear us, if you want to go ahead and chime in and continue what you were saying.
So what I wanted to add to what I was saying, Tlastokamati Miek, no needs in Tekpat, was that we got to understand that this rock has a lot of meaning. We want to definitely do the best that we can, to keep it with us at all times. But if we fail, it's not the end of the world, right? So don't make that another trauma, in our lives. If we forget the rock and go to work or go to class, it's not the end of the world. This is essentially what we're trying to get rid of. But we do want to be fully aware and do a conscious effort to keep the rock with us as closely as we can, as much as we can for this time frame. Uh, uh, and realize that we're you know not always going to be 100% on everything that we do, or it might not work the first time. So this is an exercise that can be, done multiple times if for whatever reason it's failed. And that was my biggest fear about not being able to be attached to this rock all the time. The fact that I didn't want to do that again for another 7 days, right? And then once I was done, I wanted to do it again for another 7 days. So it's important to realize a lot of these exercises are not meant to put any stress on us. They're meant to do the opposite. So that's what I would say as far as this particular exercise with the rock. Don't be so hard on yourself not knitting, because not everything is going to work the first time.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm trying to unlearn like rules and Christianity because of the religion I was raised in, like so many rules, but it's not really, shouldn't be like rules per se, as much as it's just like guidance. So that's what I'm trying to unlearn.
Right, and I think I believe Noinitsin Nemo and Noinitsin Tech, but also come from a deeply religious background like myself. So you're in the right hands when it comes to understanding the background, when it comes to, those type of teachings that come from religion and what they do to the mind in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking on that, I spent a good chunk of my life trying to follow orders or follow instructions that other people placed, because that's what you do in a religious, a religious household, right? You follow things because that's the way it was done. So for me, I like to remind everybody, right? Have patience, be kind with yourself, because decolonization is not an easy task to take on, right? Especially when you might be the first cycle breaker in your family, or you're one of the few in your group, right, that is embarking on this, right? And you don't really have any instructions of how to do it, or how to go about it. You're learning, right? You're unraveling information as you go. But one of the biggest things that I have to overcome, and I'm still to this day working on it, is believing in myself, right? I place so much limitations on myself, throughout life, saying that I couldn't do something because that wasn't the right thing to do, or in my household, it was very common to be told, I had a place, right? I had a place in this world, a very limited place, and not to overstep those boundaries, right? And so with decolonization, it teaches you the opposite, right? It teaches you that you have a purpose more than that, right? You, especially, I'm just speaking from a female perspective, right? You have to overcome a lot of those stipulations of there's more, right, to us than just a female presence, right? And especially the more teachings we embark on, you start to pick up that there's duality in everything, right? And the female essence is very powerful, as well as the masculine side, right? And so you have to do a lot of like unlearning. You have to kind of break a lot of those molds that you were brought up in, of believing that you're only so capable to a certain extent, and then you can't do anything else, right? So just be patient, and forgive yourself, right? Like Brother Atlani said, just it takes practice, and you eventually will start to incorporate it into your lifestyle. And then but in the beginning, it's different, right? It's something that you have to do. You do have to put the effort into remembering certain things, of like, oh yes, I said I was gonna do this, and I need to commit, right? So just a little tidbit from TechBot, but yeah, just be kind to yourself. I did have a question though, Water Girl, if you don't mind me asking. When you do these exercises, do you do anything to protect yourself? Like, do you have anything, like an object of any kind that protects you, or do you do what we advise to do with like the saliva, the little like cross with your saliva?
No, not really, to be honest. I have a jade necklace, but that's about it. I don't do the spit. Should I start doing that?
So the only reason I ask is because Nemo can probably give you some some experiences that he's had, right? Myself included, and probably Brother Atlani. You have to protect yourself, right, when doing these exercises, because you're gonna drain a lot of energy, right? And so it's important to take those steps of protecting yourself. Also, because as we dive further into some of these exercises, you do them like later in the evening or nighttime, and with that comes really strong energy presences that you want to make sure that you're being mindful, right, and you're protecting yourself. And so yeah, just anything simple like just doing the little cross, like you do it wherever you would like, either on your forehead or like.
Well, it's not whatever. So there's specific areas, right? Forehead,
I didn't
where
wherever, I just meant
forehead where the third eye is simulated to exist, on the soft spot on the top of your head, on the back where your what's it called? The part of the brain back here.
Which one?
This one here, where the crevice right here of your brain is.
Your cerebellum, maybe?
Oh, the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
in the
back.
back of the head. It's where
It's like where the brainstem is.
where
Your
the
spinal cord?
where the skull kind of curves and has a little concave area.
Yeah.
That's where the brainstem
Yep.
is.
So you're gonna do that part, your belly button, and your genitalia, because those are the parts of the body where they are in the Nahuatl cosmology are known for you to release energies, and energies can come in and attach themselves to you. And so I just want you to kind of try it, right? Try it out to see if those water dreams do come back, because that's probably what is the tax part, right? The taxing part of you completing these exercises or doing these exercises. Those dreams that you were once having are no longer there, right? For me, it's with energy, right? I'm very, how do you call it? Like kind of like hyperactive. So if I don't protect myself, then I just feel sluggish. I feel like there's a huge weight on my shoulders and I just don't want to do anything anymore. I feel very drained. And so you wanna try and protect yourself. And so I want you to try it out, right? I want you to try doing those protections before you do the exercise, and then do the exercise, and then let us know how you feel.
Your experience
Yes.
after, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try that. Yeah. Try that.
A good point. Thank you.
Yeah, it just came to mind just because I know we're telling you to start practicing these exercises, and it's important to protect yourself for,
Yeah.
there's different things you can do and different objects you can use, but the most simplest one that we all have is saliva, and saliva is a sacred bodily fluid, right? That that we have. And so that's why I was like, you can start with that, and then maybe later down the road, if you ever are able to get your hands on like obsidian or something of that sort, that's a really good protector as well.
Yeah, that sounds
I need to
good.
send you some kapal also, no needing in some Santa Maria or what's it called in Guerrero? Some of the stuff that I sent you, no needing. It's a
Pericon?
yellow flower.
The pericon?
Pericon, right? I need to send you some of that anointing. I'll send you a private message for your address so that I can send you some of that, and I'll also send you some obsidian so that you can protect yourself as well with that.
Why obsidian?
Obsidian holds a lot of energy from the earth. It's basically a volcanic rock, right? That comes from the center of the earth. Its color, its density, its energy is basically the energy of the earth, deep earth, right? So that's the reason why it's such a energetic, stone.
Got it. Are there like protections based on the four elements or no?
So some of the protections that we discussed tonight were actually for the four elements. So taking a
Mm.
shower with salt water, right?
Mhm.
Just take a couple of cups, I'm sorry, a couple of tablespoons of salt, sea salt, if you can find it,
Mhm.
and basically just dissolve it in water, right? Uh, in doing that, you're basically working with uh, water that has all the minerals. It basically becomes live water once you add salt to it, because you're bringing back all the minerals to it. It's no longer stagnant water that we just get from the faucet, right? Is live water. So taking a shower with that type of water is essentially a cleansing and a protection at the same time. So yeah, that's one of the exercises that I love doing myself. With Jejekat, you can always ask him for protection as part of these breathing exercises. So you can incorporate all of those into your exercises as well, and basically ask for guidance and help and protection from the four different elements, and even your ancestors. When you're meditating, you can go ahead and ask for protection from your ancestors, as well as your guardian.
How do you know what your guardian is?
So in the Tonal Lamat, we basically uh, in reading the Tonal Lamat, in reading your name, one of those is your Nawal, right? That essentially is your higher self in a way. Is your protector in a way. A lot of the when you get your name basically read, you will get a lot of different energies that are basically your totems, if you want to call them that, right? To give you kind of like an analogy as far as that goes. These are essentially your energies, right? In addition to that, you have your higher self, right? That's your guardian, right? In addition to that, you have energies around you. The ways that you can figure this out is through meditation. Ask for them to actually reveal themselves to you, right? Ask your high self for his name. I don't know if you've been able to name your high self yet, but ask him directly for his name in a meditation state, in an exercise, in a ceremony, right? Um, and try and find out through meditation, if you can, uh, who your guardians are. It's actually doable. I'll try and share a video that might walk you through doing something like that, um, through a meditation exercise, possibly. But these things are real, and these are ways that you can connect yourself. You're connecting in the astral to this type of energies. It's the same way that we would pray in the Christian religion, right? To an angel or to a saint or to Jesus, right? Um, is that meditative state where you're asking for this guidance? Is just basically swapping out a lot of this information that was given to us as far as being able to connect to a particular uh, saint, right? And using that with yourself, right, with your own energies, because these energies are carried by all of us. And that's one of the things that we saw in Tezcatlipoca, where he was carrying all the 20 different signs, right? Uh, all of the 20 different tonals. We carry all of them. So we can connect with all of these different energies.
That's really cool. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And it's in TechPad or Nemo. Anything you guys would like to add?
Yes, we can. I cannot read you your tonal, but I can help you with some of those sacred energies that you're working with. And so, in our class right now with Temachtilli, there are some where we are taking dates, like birth dates with times, and we are able to translate that information and essentially write on a piece of paper, you know, your day regents, your night regents, what you're associated with as far as the year you were born. And I'm not talking about the Gregorian calendar, I'm talking about the year in the Nawak cosmology. And so, and some of the information that comes with it, because the reading of the tonal is actually a ceremony, and it can take anywhere between an hour to 2 hours. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
essentially a naming ceremony, if you want to call it that.
Uh-huh.
And so you receive your name that you will be using for the first 13 years. In this case, it's every 13 years. So from 0 to 13, you're given one name, and then you essentially transcend into a different name, right? A different tonal, if you wanna put it in that manner. And so from 14 out to 26, you carry this name, and then from 27 to 39, you carry the next set. And so it's every 13 years where you're essentially um, transforming or transmutating into essentially growing into different aspects of the tonal, because like the greatest example that was given is that picture of Tlaloc, right, where all the day signs are put together, and Tezcatlipoca, sorry, where all the day signs are put into the being, right, and then not just those 20 day signs, but also the signs of the Nemotemi. And so essentially letting us know that we are all Tezcatlipoca, right, and we will all eventually transition. I will not always be Osomatli, right? There's going to be a moment where I may transition into Goat, or I can transition into Tekpat, right? It's all in the growth in the direction that we're taking and how that is integral to our growth.
So in that, like, what what Nemo is stating, right, with that second part of the naming. So you learn your tonal, right? You learn what that entails, right? The different regions, the different pretty much everything that comes with that energy, right? And then after studying it, after kind of learning what resonates with you, right? What you want to keep working on, that's the second part of you actually get named, right? You pick a name that you're essentially going to work with for, the next 13 years or so, right? And then there's a second, then there's a third part. So it all, what is it, builds onto the other. But the important thing is you learn who you are, right? You learn your qualities, the strengths and the areas that need, work and improvement on, because I don't want to call them weaknesses. They're just areas that are not they're not your strong suits, right? So that's essentially what happens. I believe later down the road we'll, once we learn the 20 tonals and the sacred energies, then we'll go into other teachings, right? Other aspects of knowledge. And we can most definitely, start helping you figure out what your energy is so that you can learn what your qualities are.
Wow.
And you will actually be able to learn how to read this yourself, Noinitsin. It's going to be part of the classes that we are going to be doing. The first classes are going to be basically to cover the tonals. But on the classes that we're taking, we're basically learning how to be able to read the tonal. also, right? I can read the Tonal now. I much rather have the Temachtiani read it because there is like Noinitzin Nemo said, there is a ceremony associated with it that is required. And anytime that you feel like you want to move forward, if you want to move forward with getting your tonal read, we can ask
Mhm.
the Temashtiani to do it for you if you like. I would be more than happy to translate for you if you want to.
Mhm.
But essentially, is that is reading your energies and giving you a better idea or a better vision of who you are in a lot of different ways. What what things are easier for you as a person, right, to do because of the way that your energy functions, right? If we're looking at Cali people are people that are really homey. They like to stay at their house. They like to, have a cozy home. They like to take
Mhm.
care of everybody as much as they can. You know, people that are Sikpatli, those are people that are those starter people, right? They want to get things going. They're not always the ones that finish them, but all of these different tonales that we're going into, actually, when you get to your tonal read, they have a lot to do with your personality, and this is through observation of hundreds, if not thousands, of years. It was in the thousands, but how many thousands? Who knows? But this is through observation, uh, not of material things, but energy that our
Mhm.
elders did. So it's quite
Wow.
interesting, but it is something that you will learn how to do yourself as we continue to do these classes.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions that you can think of, sister?
Mm, I don't think so, um, at the moment. But thank you guys for answering the questions that I did have.
Tlazokamati. No, it's in Andy. Any questions? I noticed you came in to the class.
What did we talk about?
No, no questions. I just wanted to just jump in and listen for as long as I could. So, but thank you for asking. And yeah, I've been having trouble connecting to the internet because it's been really windy today. So, but um, but yeah, if I have any questions, I'll likely ask in the WhatsApp or if anything.
Sounds
Thank you so
good.
much for coming in, and thank you so much for sharing the picture that you took the other day of that feather. To me, it was personal because it's such a beautiful thing to have a gift like that. It happened to me, so it brought back some memories as well for me. So thank you for sharing that, Noinitzin.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Yeah, it was very significant experience, and I felt compelled to share it because I knew it had meaning, and the fact that you were able to um, translate the meaning for me, it made a lot of sense. It really did because I've been dealing with a lot of doubt and a lot of uncertainty. So so it helped.
You
Thank you.
definitely want to go and check out this class. I think it'll help you with a lot of that uncertainty. Kuetzpallin is one of those uh, tonales that teaches us how to let go of a lot of different things. And it's in.
Yeah, I was looking at the notes that you guys shared on the WhatsApp, and I just look at it briefly, and yeah, I was amazed at how much it really resonated with everything that I'm going through at the moment. So I look forward to listening to the rest of the lecture as soon as
Yeah,
it
please
comes
let us
up
know
on.
if you have any questions once you do.
Yeah, for sure I will. Yeah. Um, just really quick. I did notice that after I had done that prayer to the night sky, I noticed, I don't know if it was anything else, but contributing to it, but I did notice that for for a couple of days, I was feeling a little down, and I was struggling with a lot of just a lot of negative thinking, and so I don't know. It was just interesting that I was experiencing that shortly after the prayer, and it led to a lot of self-reflection and a lot of challenge. Me challenging my thoughts and making sure that they don't get the best of me. It was interesting. It was very, very interesting. Yeah, my mind was playing tricks on me. Let's say that. So so it was, yeah, it's been a challenging, week as far as my thoughts are concerned. So especially because the curandera that I told you that I mentioned, she had postponed our meeting. So it kind of, it was disappointing because I was looking forward to it. And usually when I have to wait for things, my mind tends to play tricks on me. So yeah, I've been just more aware of that lately. So yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to the rest of the lecture for sure.
So real,
No, it's in Nemo. I think this is your field right here when it comes to protection and energy now.
yeah, I was literally about to I was about to stress once again, for those that just hopped on, right? I just, before we end the class, I just wanted to stress, if you are, obviously we encourage you to do the exercises, right? To try them out. But be mindful and protect yourselves before you attempt these exercises, because it does take a toll. It does drain your energy. It does affect you, right? As many of you are starting to experience. It's really important to protect yourself. We did go over a little bit right now, talking about, if you don't have objects, right, that serve as a protection, like obsidian, copal, tobacco, it's okay, right? You can use your saliva, right? Saliva is a very sacred bodily fluid, right, that we all have, or at least we should, unless there's something wrong. But we all have saliva, right? And so we wrote it down in the document, right? Our wonderful sibling wrote it down, took notes on it. You can make a cross, right? And it's the shape of a cross, but it's to symbolize the four directions. And you make a cross, and you can choose. There's certain parts of your body where you make the cross. So you can do the forehead, where your third eye, right, would be or is. The top of your head, right, where that soft spot is. You can do the back of your head by where the back of the neck and like your head connect, right? Where that's where your brainstem is, right, internally. Um, you can also do your belly button, and you can also do your, genital area. All these places are really important on our bodies, right? It's where we connect, right? With energetically, where we connect. And so it's just very important, and we stress this, all of us stress this, to please protect yourself, right, when embarking on these exercises, because you will notice a difference, and we would like to hear feedback on how you feel after, placing some protection before some of the exercises. Especially because as we go down our learning journey and we do some of these exercises that require us to do, like at nighttime, for example, Andy, you were mentioning, right? You did the prayer to the starry night, right? To Citlatique. That's at night, right? And the nighttime has a lot of powerful energies that surround us, right? And it's just very important to keep ourselves protected and healthy. So just something to kind of take note of, right? To remember. And like I said, if we don't have the objects with us, like tobacco copal, obsidian, things of that sort, it's okay. Just use your saliva in the meantime. And you can also do salt water, right? We talked about how adding some sea salt into your water and then using that on your body can also serve as not only a cleanse, but also a source of protection. So just a few little tips of how to protect yourself and keep yourself safe.
Well, not just, it's not about being safe, it's just about being protected, right? Because the practices that we're doing of trying to achieve balance and harmony with these energies, because of the level of disconnection where we are at, they will tax a heavy tax burden on you, whether it's through energy, emotion. There's just a lot of things that come into play when you're doing these exercises, right? And so there's gonna be a sense of sacrifice, right? The sacrifice that we are talking about is not this Eurocentric perspective that we were cutting people's stomachs open, ripping out their heart, and you know, uh, on a constant every minute we were sacrificing somebody type of BS. No, the sacrifices that were actually being done are these auto sacrifices that we do, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a cut on the body for you to release blood. It can be through energy. So the biggest example that I can give is when I was doing a exercise with my shadow, getting my third eye to open up, essentially talking to the other you, myself, right? Um, I did this exercise without any protections whatsoever. And the tax for that exercise was a huge amount of my energy just being taken from me. And so I felt drained. I felt completely like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to work. I didn't want to like I didn't even want to drive home. And so the amount of energy that was taken from me was that exact amount that the sacred energies were requesting of me. And so in order for me to for that not to happen again, I did the saliva protection. I put the cross on my forehead where my third eye would be located, on top of the head where the soft spot is, on the back of the skull, typically where you do your ponytails, and where that ponytail lies in that area is one of the crosses on your belly button and your genitalia, right? And then you do the exercises, and you will notice that the taxation of that energy that is being requested is not as heavy as you would have done it without that protection. And so when you discussed about doing that exercise at night, especially at night, right? Like that said, there are energies that are just so prominent, so heavy in grandioseness, if you want to put it in that perspective, right? That when you do these exercises without that proper protection, there's something that's going to be taken as a form of payment. Our sister Water Girl earlier was talking about how she did the exercises and she no longer has the dreams of water, right? Our brother Sixth Son was talking about how this whole week has just been unbearable, right? And so these are the taxings of the sacred energies that are being done onto our physical bodies. And so we must protect ourselves, right? And if we don't protect ourselves, it's going to be a constant um it's going to be a constant taxation of that energy until you protect yourself.
It's like that metaphor of it's going to keep taking water from your reservoir, and eventually you get to a point where you have nothing really else to offer, right? And so we just want to take on the initiative, right, of just preventing that toll or that taxation, right? So just protect right before you embark on the exercises.
Correct. And then Water Girl has a comment, right, or a question. Yes. So the higher self is essentially what is also known as the ego, right? The one part of your body that doesn't allow you to go in the direction where you want to go. For example, I wanna get started on studying, but then on the back of your head, it's like, I don't want to do that. You should go out and go have some fun and enjoy it, and then you don't study. That's essentially what that other you is, right, Brother Tlani? I know you probably wanted to say something.
So I think that you guys are point on these points that you guys made with protection and everything else that you guys mentioned. One thing that I would want to bring into this conversation also is we have to be fully aware of our thoughts, right? Our brain, our thoughts have a lot of control over us. So if we're basically setting expectations and then those expectations don't become a reality, right? Those thoughts become our own little hell for the time being, whatever it may be, 2 hours, an hour, or however long we spend on that, right? Uh, the time that we're spending thinking about, why did this happen? Was it me? Am I not good enough? Is somebody else better? It's essentially that little limitation that we're putting on ourselves that we have to be fully aware of, right? We got to be extremely aware of our own thoughts. And again, we are basically warriors, and our enemy is ourselves. We want to make sure that ourselves is our best friend rather than our enemy. So we want to make sure that he's not giving us any of these negative thoughts, and any of these negative thoughts that are coming our way that are from outside, because not all the time are these thoughts ourselves, right? uh, we want to go ahead and make sure that we detach from them. And this is where all of these um, different protections come in, right? There was a reason behind these protections, and that's because who are we protecting from? Who is making us have these thoughts, right? The ego makes us think that we are you know, the top of the food chain. But I mean, does a little mice know about a lion? You know, I mean, there's things that the people don't know about. Uh, there's plenty of teachers out there, people that know way more than I do about different things, right? And to think that some of these things don't hijack us and basically make us feel in a way to drain our energy through our thoughts is something that we shouldn't just pass as crazy talk. We do have to protect ourselves, and we got to make sure that we're cautious of our own thoughts. No, needs Pancho Villa, tell us what's going on with your week. Why are you feeling a bit down on energy? And how have your exercises gone, if you can share?
Hey, buenas noches, Temachtilli. How's it going?
Good. How are you today?
Not feeling like a Pancho Villa today. Eso sí, por cierto. So I just joke, because, you know, uh, there's some days where we feel like pretty powerful, and strong and unstoppable. But there's some days where, just don't know. So I think last weekend I was feeling I was feeling sick, not really sure what was going on. You know what I mean? I felt like I know I was helping out other people, and family and others, but I felt like I was burnt out. This today, just a lot of things didn't really go the way I planned, and some people kind of showed their true colors. You know what I'm saying? When I was trying to help others and in the community for the right reasons, las buenas razones. pero gente como que enseñaron sus verdaderos colores, so it's just kind of like, yeah, this got me kind of, and I had an important test and just things, it wasn't something I failed, but they gave me the wrong test actually. So it was real frustrating, but yeah, I am taking time for these exercises, but like, I mostly do them, I kind of like to do them like on a day where it's más tranquilo, más calmado, maybe like on a Sunday. But I feel like kind of like one of the lessons to learn, there's definitely some lessons of wisdom to learn because, I could go into more detail, but sometimes I feel like, you want to help, you want to do good, and then sometimes you drain your cup. In other words, right? There's gracias tu energía a veces, and it's, it seems like una cosa como de fuego, but really, like, it could be exhausting. And in regards to protection, it's a lot to talk about, como las cosas que pasaron ayer. Really, I mean, having my protection on me, and this has only happened a couple of times, and I know what this, I mean, I can't say I know everything that occurred, but it's happened before, right? From experience. And I don't know if anybody or yourself, like, well, I'm sure a lot of them, a lot of brothers and sisters here, they probably are familiar with an ojo de venado, right? Un ojo de venado. That's some of our peoples use it traditionally, right, as protection. But I've only had that rip and tear, like when it, when at times when maybe the energy wasn't right with somebody else, right? Similar to las plantas de sábila, right, or agave plants, that we have amongst other plants that we use for decoration, but they're also very receptive to energy. And yesterday, after the situation where I've seen people were just not appreciative and showing their colors, my obsidian, I had a necklace and it ripped to pieces, So I said, wow, like this is, I mean, I don't really take it as a coincidence, but I know things wear and tear, but yeah, like it was pretty heavy, you know what I mean? I don't mean to talk too long, but it was pretty heavy week, but just trying to stay strong and try to get some more rest, you know what I mean? Recharge my batteries, So yeah, so that's essentially where I'm at right now, just trying to recover my energy, doing the grounding and things of that nature.
I'm glad. Oh yeah, good.
And it's important for us to take a moment, right, to reflect. That's the most crucial part, because although as taxing as it may be, there's lessons to be taught. There's lessons to be learned. I mean, right? And some of those lessons is just there's just people in your life that you do not need to have ties with, and sometimes it is family, right? And because in the action of shaking hands alone, there can be energy removed from you involuntarily, and you feel drained, right? In the action of you being vocal about some of the things that you're trying to do, like help out, can bring envy out of other people because they wish they could do it, but they can't. But they don't know how to regulate emotion, and so they take it out as envy, and that is unhealthy. That's unhealthy taxation of your energy as well. And so there's plenty of things that I'm getting out of your story, right? That I can continue on and discussing, but I just want to give you kind of perspective so you can sit back, reflect on it, and actually put into context what are the teachings. One of them being that as detribalized indigenous, we are always told blood is thicker than water, right? Not fully understanding where it stems from and it originates from. All it is this simple phrase to get us to always do everything that we can for our family, but we don't even understand the actual definition of blood is thicker than water. It is a very short, concise phrase that originally stems from the blood of the colt is thicker than the water in the womb. And so just take into mind that there are some teachings that we have that stem from that Eurocentric slave master slave relationship, and it has nothing to do with us, right? And just take some time to reflect and re-energize. The most important thing I can recommend for you to do is just sit out in the sun and let that sun, soak you with its warmth and with its, pure light, if you want to call it that. So that way you can re-energize. Like what?
I was just gonna add, I mean, something that Temachtilli has shared with us, right, that I'll share with you today is this world that we live in. We're surrounded by a multitude of different types of people, right? Some are what is it, encouraging and positive, right? And then you have those that bring trash and negativity and try to do everything to tear down another person, right? For their own personal enjoyment. But the lesson behind that is we choose, right, where our energy goes. We control how we navigate through this world, how we direct our energy, right? So in moments like that, what you're experiencing, right, with a lot of people that are kind of testing your patience or testing your limit, thank you. Just be aware and mindful, right? You are in ultimate control, right? Some things I personally try to do, especially when we are put in circumstances that test us, right? That reach us to our limits that we can take, right? Where we're losing our patience or getting into heightened emotions, right? Just remind yourself, right, that you are always in control. How you choose to act in that situation is up to you. Do you choose to, agree with that energy and, encourage it to continue, right? Or do you just maintain control over your emotions and your state of being and do what's best for you, right? And I appreciate you coming, even though you don't feel the best, right? But I hope that the space can kind of help you kind of rebalance, refocus on what's important, right? And that's taking care of yourself, taking care of your well-being, right? And so just be aware you have a lot of control, right? You have full control of what you would choose to do or what you choose to do or what you choose to feel, right? And so don't let anybody that's trying to bring trash into your life get the best of you or succeed in doing so, right? And also some advice to re-energize that really works, at least from my experience, is yes, go get some hugs and some warmth, right, from our father Tonati, our sun, but also be barefoot wherever you can. Be barefoot and place your feet on the ground, and you will feel the vibration and energy, right, that makes up Earth, right? You'll feel the vibrations of Earth, and you really will feel that surge of energy back into your body. So we hope that our advice and help can help you feel better soon. Yeah.
Brother Atlani wanted to.
Yeah, Brother Atlani.
Well, I mean, I agree with you guys. Again, you guys are right on point. The only thing that I would add to that is that we want to also take these bad times and learn from them. not everything is beautiful, right? And we can learn from everything, including the bad. So if we're going through a really bad situation, we can also take learning from those bad situations or those bad days, right? If it's people that are draining our energy, consider maybe whether we want to be around these people or not. I mean, energy is an extremely valuable thing for me. So I try to preserve it as much as I can. So being around people that I know that are gonna try and drain my energy, I will try and limit that as much as I can because I don't want to expose myself to that. It makes no sense to me anymore. Uh, so protecting ourselves even from situations where people might not be the best thing, for us. Uh, Even family at times is not the best thing for us. It sounds extremely harsh, right? Because we've been taught otherwise. Uh, but we got to be selective as far as what we want to carry with us and the things that we don't want to carry with us, including those the negative people that drain our energy. We can go ahead and essentially do like the lizard, like the Kuetzpallin does, right? Dispose of them and move on, regrow a new experience, new people that are gonna enrich our learning, our growth, our spirituality, and allow for us to flourish, right? Uh, to what we should be. Anyone else that would like to make a comment or would like to share something or has a question?
I would like to add something that I just realized right now.
Please.
Um, in the prayer for the for Silalik, I can't. I'm still learning Silalike. Um, towards the end, it says, I commit to studying myself and being happy, out of respect and uh, support. I think the reason why I've been experiencing this inner battle because it's forcing me to reflect further on myself by questioning why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, why I'm being triggered. Because I've also noticed that I've been especially irritable, and I get triggered by little things here and there, and I have caught myself like questioning, like, why are you getting so irritable? Like, right, I'm constantly checking on myself. And I think the prayer is what pretty much is challenging me to do, the energies that came with that prayer. Because that night I actually had a nightmare. I had two nightmares, but the overall theme in the nightmares was loss. And loss has always been a huge trauma for me, that I experienced when I was 7 years old, when my grandmother passed away from cancer. And it was very traumatic for me. And ever since then, um, I've struggled a lot with fears of abandonment. I've always had abandonment issues. So when I had that nightmare, it pretty much forced me to face that. And I think that's part of the reason why. Because on Monday I was fine, but I think it was because I had gone out with my brother to a show, and so I had that distraction. But then the following day, like Tuesday and Wednesday, I was feeling off. I was feeling, a little depressed, and I think that's why, because I was forced to face that ego, so to speak. That part of myself, that this what they call the shadow self. I was forced to face that because I often don't. I try to avoid it as much as possible because it's so painful. So I think I'm dealing with the after effects of that. And trying to process it, you know. And so because when you mentioned protection, I was like thinking back to you know, me preparing for the prayer, and I did have tobacco on me and everything. So I was protected, but the energies decided, okay, you want to be happy with yourself? Well, first you got to face your demons. You got to face what you fear the most. And that's when I had that nightmare that night, those nightmares. And I just found it very, very telling, you know? So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I'm going through right now.
Lasokamati.
Go ahead, 918, take part.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, Tlasokamati, thank you so much for, sharing with us your experience. You are correct, right? As you progress through your progress and your growth, you are going to be challenged with facing those fears or those things that we have avoided for so long, right? And it's great that you're able to pinpoint, right, some of those fears or those traumas or those triggers that are in a way they're still stopping you, right? They're still preventing you from moving forward in your progress, right? And so that that explanation that you just stated was very like spot on. Like, you will be tested. You will be given challenges that will be placed in front of you, and it's up to you, right? What course of action you do. Will you face it, or will you look, turn your head the other way and ignore it, right? So I hope it can kind of give you some feelings of comfort that you're growing, right? It might not feel so great in the moments, right? Especially if whatever task you're being given, right, can feel a little bit daunting or overwhelming. But it's something that at this time the sacred energies know you are fully capable of of achieving and overcoming, right? It's just, I always tell everybody, right, be patient and kind with yourself, because this is not an easy journey to go through. It's not something that is rainbows and butterflies. It's not warm and fuzzy, right? It will test you. It will challenge you to face some of your deepest demons, or fears, like we like to call it. But all those things were placed in our way, right? And with the Kuetzpallin lesson and lecture that you guys will revisit, right, on YouTube, you're gonna see that one of the teachings is overcoming, right, our trash, our burdens that we place onto ourselves that limit us from really flying and soaring and thriving. And so I think that's one of the things that you're personally being faced with at this time is whether or not to face those fears, right, and challenge yourself. So, Brother Atlani.
Tlazokamati, no anything take part. Thank you so much for sharing, sister. I think that no anything take part is right on point. I think that one of the ways that we overcome trauma is we have to face it, which is extremely, extremely difficult to do, especially when the trauma is, rather big for us. But it is basically part of that healing. It's part of that, you know, reclaiming of our own person, our own being, to find that balance, right? Regain that energy that we lost with these events that basically doesn't allow for us to be complete to a degree, right? Um, I'm happy that you're studying yourself in these situations, because I mean that's a big deal, right? Noticing how you're acting, how you're behaving, your own thoughts. I think that's huge to do, especially in difficult moments. I think that this situation is something that you're lucky to be aware of. I think that there's a lot of people that are not aware of where their traumas come from. In your case, you're aware of it. So, I mean, the only thing that I can suggest is to do, some work, some meditation, some breathing work. Incorporate your grandma into it if you can. Try and heal that portion so that you can, by facing your own fears, your own, pains, you can also become a little bit more strong and reclaim that freedom that belongs to you. No, I need saying. That's what I would say about that. Lasso Kamati for sharing.
Yes, I will definitely take your suggestions into consideration because it's something that I've noticed, especially after my niece, because my mom mostly, but I'm helping her with take care of my niece. She's 2 years old, and I've noticed that fear of losing a loved one has become a lot much stronger. Like I find myself worrying about okay, I'm gonna give an example. Like my mom and her were supposed to go up north with my tia abuela to go see the family over there so they can meet the baby. And automatically I start to catastrophize by thinking the worst, like, oh my God, what if they get into a car accident? What if something happens to them? What if they die? What if all those fears? And I know it's related to that trauma. And I know that if I don't overcome it, it's going to get to the point where it's going to hinder me from growing as a person and from attaining my goals one way or another. You know what I mean? So actually, you suggesting that I incorporate my grandma in my meditation, yeah, I think that would be very helpful because I have felt her with me in certain instances, especially during certain ceremonies. So I know she's been with me. So I'm definitely going to incorporate. I'm definitely going to ask her to be with me during those those exercises. I do want to add also that one thing that has helped me in figuring out how my brain tends to trick me sometimes is the raven is my guide, is my spirit guide. And I figured it out because it's been something that's come into my life during very poignant instances in my life. And lately, like on Tuesday, I went out for a jog, and right when I came out of the gate, I was thinking all these negative thoughts. And right when I was thinking these negative thoughts, I looked up and there was a raven that was flying towards me. And I looked at him and I just looked at him and I greeted him. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, he's basically telling me, don't let your mind trick you. Don't let it be a trickster. So that pretty much snapped me out of it. And it gave me a lot of comfort in knowing that whatever I was thinking in the moment wasn't true. It was just my mind trying to trick me. So in those instances, I also have my guides who are helping me the best that they can in navigating whatever it is that I'm going through at the moment.
I agree.
Lasso Kamati for sharing. No need sing. Go ahead. No need sing now.
I agree, sibling, that the animals, the plants, everything that surrounds us has a way of, reminding us of the true goal and the true intention of our existence. And so there's another factor that we need to take into consideration. Before colonization, the concept of fear almost did not exist. We understood that fear was good in helping us stay true, stay focused, stay straight, but it wasn't something that was detrimental that prevented us from existing and living. And so, in that same aspect, I would like for you to try and take a moment to also reflect on the fact that fear was a construct that was embedded into our people through the pain of death. And had that not been the case, then we'd be having a different conversation. But regardless, we are here, we are now. This is the existence that we are in. And so these are steps for you also to decolonize, right? And fear is one of those that we have to decolonize from. And I mean, you have every right and every reason to have a specific fear, but also do your best to learn it, right? Learn every aspect of it. That way you can understand what it is, because I believe that fear is because we don't know something or we don't understand it. And, in trying to understand what the fears are, you are able to overcome them and then use those for a benefit towards harmonizing and creating balance with the self, and actually helping you and aiding you in your reclamation journey as well. And so I'm not trying to take away from your story or from everything else, and I'm not trying to say that the only thing I got out of this was that you have fear. No, on the contrary, TechBot covered a lot of ground. And so I just wanted to add some more in regards to the concept of fear, right? Fear, we used fear as a tool to help us stay straight, not as a tool to control our thoughts, our minds, and our capabilities to progress. And so I give that power back to you, right? Learn to use it, and you are the one that's in control of that fear of, we have this understanding that loss is a horrible thing, that it's a bad thing, but we must also understand that loss means that we now have the capability of having somebody in Mictlampa to provide us guidance and provide us answers that were not given to us in the physical realm. And so I leave you with that. And Brother Tlani, I know you wanted to add some more.
Well, I would add to that basically, what you just touched on, which is death being just a transitional state, right? And once we start going into other exercises, once we go into Vikistli, death, right? Um, we're going to basically be discussing a lot about how to be able to communicate with our ancestors, right? We're going to be sharing some exercises that are going to be able to allow for us to hopefully some closure with our ancestors, make peace, with any ancestors that we may have to or need to, ask for guidance, ask for help, give thanks, because we got to remember, that thanks to our ancestors, we're here. Uh, they were basically those rocks, the creating this building that is our body now, right? So we got to be fully aware of that. But we will be touching on connecting with our ancestors in a few more classes. Yeah, I think that there is not something to be fearful of, but rather embrace. Death is not something that I'm scared of. I don't think that I've ever been scared of death, just because of the fact that as a little kid, I recall my dad saying during a funeral, they had maybe like 400 people. In Mexico, funerals are kind of like in your face, right? The entire community gets together for it. It's not maybe like 10 or 15 people, but a lot of people get together. So you see a lot of sorrow, you see a lot of feelings. But in this funeral, I saw my dad conversating with other people, right? And one of the things that he said was that he wasn't scared of death because he realized that whenever he died, he was going to go back to see his, his mom and his dad who had already passed away and his ancestors, right? And that, as a little kid, gave me this idea that my dad was right. I mean, life is transitional. We're gonna die, and eventually, we're gonna go back to being energy. And when we do, we're gonna be at the same place where our ancestors are, and we're gonna be able to communicate. So, life is nothing but a moment, right? And we gotta be aware that we gotta do the most of it because it is that. It's basically just an instant in time. Uh, we're not eternal in this body, and I think that we gotta be aware of that because we have adopted this idea that, that we should be scared of death. But our ancestors were the opposite when it came to that. They actually um, embraced it and lived with death. I mean, we celebrated it, right? And we can see that in many of our traditions, like the Day of the Dead. It's basically a party. It's a welcoming of our ancestors who we still live with. So yeah, that's what I would say about death. Let's talk about Timik.
And I also wanted to add a little something for Sixth Son. I understand that there's strength in walking away from toxic people and toxic situations, right? And we must do so in a humble manner. And there is work to be done in getting to know the ego and getting to know the other you, the shadow work. There are many names for it, right? But essentially, it's just getting to know yourself. And um, although ties were cut with that toxicity, let's do it in that humble fashion that the ancestors would take, right? Don't try and take this as a I'm better than the other person, or I'm I'm not trying to say that that's exactly what you're saying. I'm just trying to give some pointers and tips, right? And then when it comes to the discussion of being able to talk with your ancestors, Mictlampa is not a place where the physical strictness of certain people telling you you have to learn Nahuatl and speak in Nahuatl to talk with your ancestors. Maybe to the ancestors that are existing here now, the grandfathers and grandmothers whose firstborn language is Nahuatl, right? And they don't speak anything else other than that. Yes, but in Mictlampa, as our Temachtiani has shared with us, and TechBot has covered this in our previous classes, um, you can speak as you are, because there isn't that language barrier in Mictlampa, right? You can literally just think a thought and it'll be read by your ancestors, and they can literally just read your mind because they're in that ethereal presence. Our boundaries here is the physical plane. And so yes, thank you, Bud Lenny, telepathy. And so it just there's a lot of work that needs to be done within ourselves, within trying to understand and decolonize that information that is being told to us, because there's a lot of Christian values that were forced on our people, and then we took that information and we embedded our teachings within it for survivability, right? And so we must be able to deconstruct that Christianness from that concept so that we can truly understand what the message behind it is. And it can only be taught by people who have either been taught or who live that experience of having to hide their indigeneity, right? And but yeah, just some more information. Any other questions or experiences that we want to discuss? I know
it's getting late for some of y'all. Alrighty, well, we look forward, just to kind of summarize, right? We look forward for those that didn't get to catch, right, the lesson. It will be posted. And we really do look forward to hearing your experiences, your questions, your discourse, right, that you want to have further. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on the, but we do look forward to hearing, right, from each one of you on what you think of the material. Kuetzpallin is a very, I mean, all the tonal energy teachings are fruitful, have a lot of wisdom behind it. But one of the biggest teachings for Kuetzpallin is to let go and to learn how to do that, right? How to do it properly and effectively. So yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, having more, well, I can't even English anymore, having more communication and talks, right, about the material. But I really do hope that you guys get the rest. I know it's the end, getting towards that end of the week, so let's finish it strong and let's keep going, moving forward. Atlani, Nemo. Any other thoughts before we wrap up for the night?
Nan, I would say enjoy life. Continue to teach yourself. Remember to do the exercises. You now have access to this knowledge. And this knowledge is extremely effective. As Anoinitzing Nemo and Anoinitzing Tekpat can attest to it now. After doing some exercises and myself doing these exercises, again, directly from our elders. So this is knowledge that we should put into action because it does bring results, results that are gonna help us find a balance, right? And be that person that we can be. So yeah, I would say do the exercises now that you have access to them, and enjoy life. No need to Nemo.
Timoitaske Miklampa, Timoitaske Mosla. All the words have been taken.
Yes.
So
We finally did it, Atlani. We took the words for once.
The only thing I can say is Timoitaske Miklampa and Timoitaske Mosla. We will see each other in the realm of dreams. We will see each other tomorrow.
Timoitaske Mosla.